we went into the game wanting to make them drive, get them off the three-point line. We didn't do that. So when you let Guy and Jerome shoot those shots, they're going to make them. And we just did a very poor job of getting them off the line, and they took advantage of it. Jerome hurt us in the high post. He's the guy that hurt us in the high post. We actually did a good job in Hunter in the high post. He did not hurt us in the high post, which he has the last 2 years, the last 2 games last year. We actually did a good job on him in the high post. We let him get outside, and our forwards weren't active. We got screened a few times, and we just didn't play any defense. Really, our three-point defense was bad the whole game. Tyus got his opportunities. He got to the spot where he can make shots, and he just couldn't get it in. When he doesn't score for us, that's an issue. That's an issue. I think that O'Shea's had trouble scoring, shooting. He can't make shots. So you don't have to play him out there, play him for the drive, and he has struggled shooting the ball from day one, really, this year. Play the 1, 2, 5 teams in the country in 10 days. We're not as good as they are. That's the bottom line. We played pretty well against Duke, really well at North Carolina. We had a good first day. We're not better than these teams.
Welcome to the Cuse Militia Podcast with those two unapologetically biased, orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
What's up, Cuse Nation? Thanks for tuning in to the Cuse Militia Podcast with Sean and Joe. If you like it, as always, please subscribe. And the universal handle for the socials is at Cuse Militia. Go there, join the militia. We are the only Syracuse sports podcast centered around giving you, the fans, a platform. Well, the Orange could not handle the onslaught of a 54-point scoring differential from 3 against UVA. They hit 18 3-point shots. You'll hear from us. We'll hear from you in the fan feedback. And Syracuse closes out the regular season against Clemson in South Carolina Saturday, March 9th at noon. We'll give you our thoughts. Well, it wasn't actually a 54-point differential from 3, but 54 points scored from 3. Anyway. They couldn't overcome it. It doesn't really matter. So, but first, before we get into all the fun that we're used to, we're going to hear from Tix Blitz. Now, if you don't know already, Tix Blitz is the official ticket provider for the Armchair Media Network, and unlike other ticketing providers that sneak in all the extra fees and unexplained service charges, at Tix Blitz, the price you see is the price you pay. Unnecessary fees should not prevent you from seeing the sporting event or concert of your choosing, so go to tixblitz.com and enter the promo code ARMCHAIR at checkout to receive 5% off your total ticket purchase. That's TIXBLITZ.com, promo code ARMCHAIR. Tix Blitz, guaranteed seats, guaranteed emotions. Well, real quick, I always ask for your thoughts on the game after every game. Go there, Facebook and Twitter at Cuse Militia, give us your thoughts. But I did ask for your thoughts on another game. I would like you, if you haven't, to go there and do that. We're putting something together. The 10th anniversary of the 6 overtime game against UConn is coming up a week from today, which is Tuesday. So next Tuesday, the 12th, I believe, is the 10-year anniversary of that. So go to the socials if you haven't already seen that. And if you remember where you were or what you were doing, because I remember exactly what I was doing, and I'll tell my story. It's short and sweet. But I remember, it's like those games like that you remember, like the national championship game and, a bunch of others. But go there if you haven't already and leave your... Do you have a story, Joe? Do you remember your story?
It's not really a good one. I had to work the next day, and I was sitting on my couch kind of just hoping it would end.
Well, don't tell it. Save it.
It's pretty pathetic, so.
It's a pretty pathetic one? Man, go figure. Go figure, folks. Go figure.
It's not great. I wasn't doing anything special.
I know. Well, I guess we weren't expecting a special night, but it ended up being. But there are some really good stories, and we're going to get into that. But anyway, the Orange fell to 19-11, 10-7 in ACC after a clinic from behind the arc by UVA. When you're feeling it, and UVA was feeling it. there's times when you think a team can't stay hot like that the whole game unless they're playing Syracuse. At least that's the way I feel. I remember Justin Robinson went 9 for 13 earlier this year. He set a couple personal records, I believe. I think he set a school record too. I can't remember, but I know he set a personal record. And it was Kyle Guy this time hitting 8 of 18 from distance. And just to rub salt in the wound, Virginia set a record for the most three-pointers ever hit in the Carrier Dome.
No, he went 8 of 10.
8 of 10. I'm sorry. Yes, 8 of 10. They set a record for the most three-pointers ever hit in the Carrier Dome with 18. That's what I was looking at. And also for a three-point shooting percentage by a visitor at 72%, Syracuse led at the half, as they have done the past few games in these types of situations, 34-32, despite Virginia going 8 for 12 from 3 in the first half. And maybe you thought to yourself, this shooting won't last, because that's what I was thinking. I know that's what Joe was thinking. But it did. And maybe you thought that we were shooting good enough to keep up with them, but just the opposite would happen.
Got better.
The Orange would go 7 for 26, only scoring 19 points in the second half, to UVA's 47, and the Cavs would go 10 for 13 from behind the arc. UVA started off the half early with an 11-0 run. That turned into a 27-3 run. If you combine Duke, North Carolina, and Virginia, where Syracuse has led at halftime, Syracuse has actually been outscored 143-89 just in the second half. So, brutal. The Battle, Hughes, and Boeheim, they all finished with 11 points each. We were all hoping for a big night for our seniors, Howard and Chukwu. Pascal did what I think he needed to do to make a difference. Maybe my expectations are low. I don't know. But 8 points, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. And I just wish it were different, especially on senior night for Frank Howard. And on the other hand, he was kind of flat. He only hit 2 buckets, both from 3. He didn't make much else, just a non-factor. Brissett, also a non-factor. As well, maybe he was lucky enough to even be playing in the game after swinging an elbow. That case could be made. 6 points, 8 rebounds. He is 21 of 65, 32.3% over the last 6 games. He is 2 for 16 from 3 in those 6 games, and he is 0 for 10 in the last 4 games from behind the arc. I mean, it's March. It's time to get it together. Albeit was a number 2 team in the nation, and Virginia's hitting the stride right at the right time. But Syracuse looked vulnerable, and I believe, in my opinion, especially as far as confidence goes and morale, they definitely took a step back, Joe.
Yeah, you'd like to think that, but honestly, the way that they played all year, they bounced back. They haven't thought about it. Number 2 team, like you said, they've got a great defense, and they just poured it on. Not too many teams can beat us the way that they did, the way they used Ty Jerome. I mean, the guy shot very high percentage. He had 14 assists, and they had 3 guys.
14 assists. That killed us too.
Yeah, I mean, so you had 3 guys. Most likely, well, I don't know if Kyle Guy, I don't know about his size, but if he can shoot, then I mean, I know the other 2 are going to the NBA. I mean, you got NBA guys out there, and they just made shots at a rate that you don't see too often. And obviously, because you said, like, we haven't seen in the Dome. So to me, it's just one of those things where you got to kind of just like the other ones, just take the good from it and just try to learn. I just don't think that there's too many teams that have the roster and the capability to do some of the things that they did last night to beat us. And
they haven't shot like that all. That was their best shooting night all year. I mean, that's a ridiculous shooting night. That's what I mean. That's like a one-off type thing. Yeah, I mean, another anomaly.
When a team
right,
shoots, right? When a team, I mean, Justin Robinson, it was just him.
Right, I know. Right.
And we just didn't score.
Right.
This time around, I thought played a really good first half, other than the fact that they just shot really good from 3-point land. So like what you said, I thought that it was, they can't keep this up. And we already had the lead. We had, I think, 6 or 7 offensive rebounds. And it just seemed like there's this great effort out there. We were moving the ball around, and we were scoring points. Just like Boeheim said, it wasn't like we were shooting a good percentage, but we were getting the offensive rebounds and creating turnovers.
The turnovers. 8 in the first half.
8 in the first half. They only averaged 9 or 10, like 9.5 a game or something.
9.5 a game, and Syracuse ended up with 10. So
right.
UVA took
Virginia
really good care.
They came out and they took care of the ball, and they stepped up their defense, and they kind of put it on Syracuse.
Did their defense step up though, or did maybe we've talked about how the poor shooting trickles down into our defense, and it's just like it starts a slow collapse.
Well, when you're in the second half and a team just isn't missing, and they just go off and take a huge lead. A lot of time, like you said, almost everything about that game now changes.
Right.
The pace, the sense of urgency, the things that you want to try to do, and you want to make it up so fast. Making
the most out of your possessions, trying to not take bad shots, and in panic mode, and
some of that goes out the door.
Yeah, exactly. So they weren't taking good shots, and it was sloppy, and you could tell it was rushed, and they were making mistakes, and it's just not in their wheelhouse to have to deal with an onslaught like that. Though they have done pretty good job. They have done a good job. And that one just got away, man.
It just got away because of our second half shooting. We ended up shooting 33% overall, 32% from the three-point land. So those percentages with what they pulled off. That's just there's nothing you're going to be able to do.
Three guys hit threes too, by the way. And if you take away Joe, like you said earlier, if you rework the math, you take away the 1-3 that a walk-on shot. They actually shot 75%, not 72. Yeah. 72 officially. But really what they did is they went 18 for 24, 75%. So.
Right. It's just one of those things that just a really good team, you don't know if – and there's probably a bunch of things that you can – these last 3 games with Duke and North Carolina and Virginia, the way we've played in the first half, and then the way we came out and played in the second half, I think that there's just a bunch of different things. Each game was a little bit different, but between the refs and between, coaching adjustments and between just, I think, which is most of it, is just the fact that more talented teams stepped up and played a little bit better than us. So there was a bunch of different things, but I like the way that we played in the first half of some of those games. And if anything, I hope that we can maybe get a chance at one of them, maybe in the ACC tournament or something, and maybe prove that we've gotten a little bit better.
Maybe one of them. I don't. If I had to choose one, honestly, I would choose UNC, and only because I don't want to see Virginia again anytime soon. I got to be honest. I don't. There was some talk on Twitter about that, but Duke, we've already played twice. I don't need that kind of. I don't need my blood pressure.
I don't need that in my life.
Yeah, and I'm good. So UNC, I would take. But the whole Brissett thing, Joe. Should Brissett have been even playing after that flagrant one was called on him? Your opinion. Just your opinion.
You mean like should he have gotten
a flagrant 2 and been ejected from the game?
I don't think so. I think it was the right call. I know that's going to be really controversial because of the way that he made it look, obviously.
It look really bad.
He made it look really bad. But I think you kind of just got to judge it by what kind of contact it created and stuff like that. Because as fast as he did do that, and maybe it was
out of aggression, in my opinion. He was frustrated.
It was frustration and aggression, but at the end of the day, you can only judge it by
what the outcome was.
What the outcome was, exactly. Right. So as much as it looked really bad, but he didn't really catch him square, and it could have been a lot worse if he did catch him square. Then
thankfully he didn't, because he could have broke his nose.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is if he would have caught him square, then O'Shea Brissett, he might. I don't want to say looking maybe at a suspension or something, but that would have done some damage to Ty Jerome. So I think that it was the right call, but again, that just tells you like what we talk about with that rule. People getting hit to the face. That it's different refs call that differently. Right. So like I told you, it's one of those things against Duke. I think the Brissett one should have been looked at, and again, that's just something else because that wasn't something that the ref caught. It was basically based on Ty Jerome's reaction after the play. Right.
Well, Brissett was on the ground holding his head after that play, so I don't know.
Exactly.
It needs to be black and white, and they need to fix it. Yeah, and I agree. I agree that they should have looked at that with the whole Ty Jerome and Brissett thing against UVA. I think they should have. But what they should have also done is blow the whistle about, 5-6 seconds earlier. And I know you said, well, they're judging by his reaction. I know, but it was just like the refs are out there. They're supposed to be watching what's going on. There's supposed to be an eye on someone all the time. So
no, it's not as easy.
I know, but you got that happened.
2-3 refs.
I understand, but you got that happened. You got Ty Jerome holding his face. Then the game against Duke, Brissett was on the ground holding his head. So I don't know. It needs to be black or white. That's what I can say about that. So
yeah.
All right. Well, I'm good. You want to hear from the fans?
Yeah. Let's listen to them. Let's
see what they got to say.
It's time to hear from you. The loudmouths from the Loud House. The best damn college sports fans in the nation.
All right, y'all know where to go at Cuse Militia on Facebook and Twitter. And I propose a question at the end of every game, and what you need to do is you need to go there. You need to find that post, and you need to give us your thoughts. So let's see. There was a good amount. I tried to keep it. There's a couple that were, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know. I was going to put him in. I'm like, maybe I better not. I don't know. But anyway, Brandon on Facebook, I believe it says, yes. Brandon on Facebook says, we played another great first half. Then Howard showed up, and Battle showed why he has fallen off every draft board. Joe, I am not afraid to say that I don't pay attention to draft boards. I don't care. I pay no attention to the NBA. I'm sorry. I just don't. I don't find the NBA entertaining. What do you know about Battle and draft boards?
Not a damn thing. I'm kind of the same way with you when it comes to I watch the NBA draft and I pay attention
right
when it gets really close. Same thing with the NFL draft, but when it comes to mock drafts and stuff when you're talking about draft boards when the college season's still going on, I don't pay attention to it. So
okay, well let's do this.
He could be right. He could be right. He could be.
I think Brandon pays attention to that stuff. I think he does.
I think so too.
I don't pay attention.
I hope
to
he does,
stuff.
making comments like that. I hope he does.
Right. That's why I was asking you if you knew, because I didn't bother to look it up. I actually thought you might know. But all right, well let's do this. Buy, sell, or hold. Tyus Battle is going to the NBA after this season.
Yeah, I think he's going to, because I don't think he has nothing else to prove. I think he's going to graduate after this year, so I'm buying it. Even though I don't know if necessarily this year. I mean, it's still to be determined. I think he's going to have to make a nice little run in the NCAA tournament or something like that to kind of help. I think his percentages has gone up a little bit compared to last year, but
he's up to 16th on the all-time scoring leaderboard.
He is, but that kind of stuff really doesn't matter when it comes to getting drafted. I'm just saying,
it's he has a lot of big games, and then he has a lot of kind of flat, very mundane games. But he has big games, and it boosts that up there. That sat up there a lot.
Yeah, I don't see his stock being any different than what it was last year.
Yeah, kind of. That's kind of what I think. That's why I was going to hold on that, to be honest with you.
And a lot of it comes down to just, again, there's a lot more in the season. But you're gonna hold on him going to the NBA? Really?
I'm gonna hold because I don't know, dude. I don't know. I really don't. Like you said, I don't know if there's a ton of difference from him last year to this year. The inconsistency with him is just, and I know they covered. Look, Tony Bennett's game plan last night, especially coming out of the locker room, was you got to hand it to that guy. Like, really, what he did to Battle last night in both halves, really.
Well, what he did to Battle and his adjustment in the second half on offense, putting Ty Jerome at the free throw line, I think those are two things that, granted, not every team has the personnel to pull that off, but, you have to make the call when you have it, and he did.
Exactly.
So.
He made a brilliant decision, and he did. And the guy's smart. We all know that. There's no denying it. 5 for 19.
Good coach.
Though.
I respect him.
Yeah, 5 for 19 though. Battle last night.
Yeah,
he's just inconsistent, and we've talked about Battle being able to make those shots with the contested shots, the shots where his legs are all whacked out, all to the side and whatnot.
Right.
He makes those a lot. Last night that was not happening. Inconsistency. All right.
Yeah, well, last night was it was the first time where I've seen his shots get blocked like that too. So
yeah.
Give it up to Hunter. Hunter's he's an NBA player. His stock's higher than Battle's, I'll tell you that. And again, when it comes to the inconsistency, like you said, that's one of the biggest things in the NBA because you have to do things to be able to, stick out in the NBA. And one of the things is consistency.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bench players you see that just kind of bounce back and forth with bench players and players that don't get any minutes. And, the people that play solid minutes in the NBA, they're consistent.
Right.
So.
And there's just a ton of talent. There's a lot to compete with. Jason says we can't stop good shooting teams. If we don't score shot for shot, we don't win. And I mean, it's been a few times this year. There's been a couple times this year where teams have actually cooled off, and it's like you never know. And you never know. And we've talked about it all year where we just don't know what Syracuse team we're going to get. Maybe they can go off. But that's what happened in the first half. They were the turnovers that they were creating and the rebounds that they were grabbing. They led the battle of the boards in the first half, and obviously creating 8 turnovers and getting those points. That's how they were able to hold off the onslaught. 8 for 12 from 3 by UVA, and they were able to hold that off. But just they could just not miss. I mean,
and let's be honest. When you look at the talent level and the fact that you're talking about the 3 teams that played in the top 5 and have lost our last 3 losses, the talent they have better talent than us. Yeah. It's just a matter of fact, and they're more consistent than us. And the way that the basketball landscape has changed with the 3-point shot and everybody, putting it up. You got big guys shooting, putting it up. I mean, centers in the NBA got to be able to shoot threes now, and
that's
it's
the
just
game.
They keep going farther and farther back and making them deeper. I mean, it gets to the point to where, like, especially this year, a good example is the players. The way our team is when we play a really good team or it's top 15 team, something like that. They got if they have the talent, and if a player goes off, then they can beat us themselves.
Right. Exactly.
When you look at Virginia Tech, Justin Robinson. When you look at North Carolina, Kobe White. When we played Duke, R.J. Barrett.
Well, look, just
last night,
scoring,
with all those 3 guys.
Scoring. Ty Jerome, DeAndre Hunter, and Kyle Guy scored 54 points. We scored as a team 53.
Yeah.
So, Joe on Facebook says, nothing you can do when a team shoots with flame in their palms. Never seen a team shoot like that. Neither have I. When it went up, I knew it was going in. Even I got used to it. I mean, what do you do?
That's why, like I said, that's what I was trying to explain. That's why I wasn't even mad. Like you said, when you have a team like that, like I said, we have good first half, good showing, but then that happens. Like like you said, what do you do? They made 10 of 12 3-pointers in the second half. The starters. Yeah. Like, what are you gonna do? There's nothing you can do.
Right. Paul says, giving up 18 long balls is utterly unacceptable. That said, props to Virginia for being able to hit that many shots from deep. And they weren't just deep. Some of those shots were deep. See the difference? Deep. They were.
And some of them were contested. Kyle Guy had a couple coming off of screens or, catching, shooting. And, they were just... They were out to prove something last night, man.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Apparently. Peter says, no match, very tough to beat Virginia in his own defense, and Syracuse cannot adapt to anything else better. Hope they get win 20 or maybe an NIT team, depending on how much they look at the win over Duke. They have a lot of very bad losses. Sorry, there's no punctuation there, Peter. I'm sorry, there's not. You guys can go back and look at it. So I thought I had it for a second. I was adding my own punctuation. But, of course, once an episode, you guys get the bumbling Sean, and I'll butcher something. So, you're welcome. So he says he says Syracuse can't adapt, and they haven't been great at adjustments. Haven't been great. I would say. They have done it, but they haven't been great. And NIT team, depending on how much they look at the win over Duke, they have a lot of very bad losses. That's not true, Peter. They have one bad loss, okay? And NIT, I'm not even thinking about NIT right now. We're not even going there, are we, Joe? We going there? No.
We're not going there.
No.
And, I mean, based upon what I've seen around the interweb, mm-hmm. I don't even know if we lose the last 2 games, I still think we're in, honestly. From everything I see, I can't see us falling back that far, barring just a bunch of teams that shouldn't win their conferences that do.
Yeah.
Or conference tournaments. That's really the only way, and I still don't think that we're losing every game. So
Yeah. Well,
I'm just over the NIT talk right now. If
I know,
anybody
there wasn't much of
actually
it.
went
There
and
was a
checked
little
some
bit.
things out, then you pay attention. I mean, if you went to check out not even just Joe Lenardi. I mean, like I said before, I've said it. Bracketmatrix.com. They have like the top 110 different websites, and they average all the websites out. So what seed that you are in every single one. I mean, we're in the tournament in 110 of every single one of those websites. So, and you look at Ken Palm, he's got us ranked 35th. I don't 100% know where we are in the net right now, but I mean, everywhere you look, we're still not even really close to the NIT right now. So I mean, they're not even talking about us in the bubble. So
Syracuse is 42nd in the net right now.
Nice.
At Bilski 44, one of those games, second half, they have to move on and get ready for Clemson. As soon as fan feedback's over, Ted, we are going to all move on and get ready for Clemson because I can't handle it. Because as someone that lives in Virginia, and I have gotten hit from every angle possible from all the big college basketball fan bases that center around Virginia, well, being Virginia, UVA, Virginia Tech, and then the UNCs and the Dukes around here. Those are the big four around this area.
And you had to deal with Old Dominion.
Oh, and I had to deal with Old Dominion. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's been a brutal year for me. So UVA winning the way they did last night and getting to celebrate like that in the Dome, it really rubbed me the wrong way. To say it nicely.
Yeah, it did.
You know,
just
you
to let everybody out there know, I talked to him last night, and he is not lying. He is not lying.
It's a good thing we don't do a live show immediately after.
I would say that, yes.
Right?
Especially considering last night, 100%.
Yeah, plus I had a bad day. But anyway, at Doug Vaughn fan from Twitter, he says they won't shoot that way ever again in their lives. Well, they haven't yet, so I would agree, Doug Vaughn fan. Yeah. Still tough to beat them. If they play again, it'll be closer. I don't know what I just watched. At Drew Cuse responds to him, says, I kind of hope they meet up in ACC tourney, kinda. And I responded to at Drew Cuse. I said, I think I'm good on that. I don't want to. I don't care if it's closer. I don't want to take the chance of it not being closer. I don't want to. No, thank you.
No, I'll tell you what. The only way I'd be cool with it is if it was in the ACC championship. How about that?
Fair enough.
How about that?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe. I don't know. I'm good though.
Just think about the teams. Think about the teams and the wins in our seed, in our strength of schedule, and all those numbers and everything that would, if getting to that point, if we did make the ACC, so that's the only reason I say that. Well, if we were to go on a run and make the ACC tournament championship, then I wouldn't care who we played.
Yeah. Well,
or how bad the outcome was. So,
I mean, if you made that run, it would be something special. But, I'm not saying we can't. All I'm saying is that Syracuse has won one singular ACC tournament game.
Oh, I know.
So,
I understand.
So it's a brutal conference.
Look, I'm not saying it's probable.
I know.
I'm just giving my scenario if I'm okay with playing Virginia.
You're in your own little thing. That's fine.
Whatever, man.
At Tony Staffieri, this team is going to be hard to trust in the NCAA tournament given the last two defensive performances against top 5 teams. Well, I will say this, Tony, that I worry less about teams that are not in our conference when we play them in the NCAA tournament. I just don't think I don't think they can acclimate as well to the zone. You saw what Virginia had last night. They struggled. They turned the ball over 8 times. This is the team that's familiar with us. They had a game plan. They had a plan B. Okay?
Yeah.
And it worked. There's not going to be a lot of teams that can have a plan B. It's going to be plan A.
No, not that one.
Absolutely not that one. But even plan A, if plan A doesn't work, these teams that are not used to seeing that zone, that do not play us, out-of-conference teams in the tournament, it's going to be, I think we hold an edge in that. I just would like to think that, right?
I think that it's kind of proven. I mean, look at the runs that we've been able to pull off in the recent years. And that's just kind of the way that I look at it. The last couple times we made runs in the tournament, I mean, how confident were you in the team last year that got in a playing game? I was nervous. They're the same type of team, and look what we did. So, again, all you really can do now at this point, and what the whole regular season is getting to the tournament and creating a resume to get you the best spot in the tournament. So here we go. We're on the eight or 9 line right now, and all we can really do is hope to win a couple games here or see what happens and see where we end up.
This is the best time of the year. We'll see what happens. It's a brutal loss. It sucks. We got kind of embarrassed. Yeah. It is what it is. What are you going to do?
The small mid-major conferences have already started their tournaments too. So
best
time of the year.
I'm just noticing this, so I got to give a shout out to at PSJTG5. Okay, he's got a Raider Nation caricature, whatever, profile picture. So shout out to him. He said lights out, they sucked, but that's fine. I see Joe's got his New York Giants hat on.
Raiders.
So
yes, I do.
I figured I'd shout that out.
Saquon?
At Shay Ken _ something, I don't know. I cut it off and I apologize. These are screenshots I get these from.
Good.
Not much you can do with a shooting performance like that. However, they gave up when they got down. Had chances, turned the ball over, and continually got stagnant on offense. Some blame needs to go on the coach. Okay, so I don't think they gave up. I think what happened is they got desperate and they were sloppy. And giving up to me is effort. They were making their way up and down the court. So I would say the effort was there. But
I don't think it was giving up.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, if you're giving up, you're lazy down the court, and they weren't doing that. But I get his point, though. It was just sloppy. Some blame needs to go on the coach. Absolutely. I think coach would tell you that some of the blame needs to go on him. They did have no adjustments because they were playing okay ball, and they just had what they had, and they were dealing with it. Basically, that's kind of how the year has gone. Basically, pretty much, right?
Well, I think they got hit. Yeah. Well, I think you got hit with one of those things where it kind of didn't matter on defense. I mean, they had that Ty Jerome at the free throw line, and that was literally kind of like the best option. And it just seemed like in the second half everything was working, so it really didn't matter. They didn't really find a solution to what Virginia was doing. And again, sometimes that's just like personnel and the kind of night that they're having, because if they're hucking up all those threes and missing them, then it's a different story. So, like you said, it happens a lot to Syracuse, but I mean, last night they just couldn't miss.
It's the zone. It's the zone.
Yeah, it's the zone. You're going to get some shots up, and if you can make them, and that's a chance you kind of take, because sometimes, how many and sometimes that's one thing with Syracuse fans, they don't understand that sometimes you don't put it in perspective. For as many times it's like a guy comes out and hits a career high in threes and they end up winning. How many times have we beaten a team or lulled a team to sleep to where they're just shooting and hucking up all these threes?
Absolutely.
And
the good
missing
the bad,
them all.
Right?
I mean, we did it to Duke at Duke this year.
Exactly. You take the good with the bad in the zone, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. UVA is the second-ranked team in the nation. They are a potential Final Four team, and I wouldn't put it past them if I had to put money on it. I think they can get there, but it's it is what it is. But
well, on top of the fact that you have. In the second half, I think they ran into a hungry defense that wanted to come out and prove something. And,
that's the other thing,
you have, and like you said, too, you have people that were struggling, and we looked at Ty's battle when we're struggling to make those buckets. And
he was stifled.
Lo and behold, we got a 6'7" small forward that's probably they're talking about possibly being a future lottery pick, and he locked him down. And so we had no answer. We had no answer.
That's it. So that is it for fan feedback. Thank you all so much for going there and participating after a tough loss. I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all listening.
Yes,
I love your interaction, especially after tough losses. I know it's easy after a good win to go on there and express yourselves, and don't ever hold back. Sometimes those are the best.
To swearing. Hold back to swearing.
Oh, you can swear. It's fine. I'll just beep it. I can self-censor that. But anyway, thank you. So you know where to go, at Cuse Militia on Facebook and Twitter after every game. All right, Joe. Well, the pregame for Clemson will head to Syracuse, or Syracuse will head to Clemson, rather, this Saturday at noon. The game is set for. But before we get into all that stuff, the pregame, or the preview for Clemson, is brought to us by MyBookie. If you've bet online before, you know what to expect. And I would urge you to go to MyBookie. If you have not bet online before, check it out. Make sure it's right for you. But if you decide to, go over to MyBookie. They have in-game live betting, the most rewarding player perks in the business. And for all of you fantasy guys and gals out there, you can even bet the over-under on how many fantasy points a player will score each game. Join MyBookie now, and they will match your deposit dollar for dollar. Use promo code Cuse25 to activate that offer. Visit MyBookie online today. That's MyBookie. And don't forget to use the promo code Cuse25 when you create your account and claim up to $1,000 in free play. You win, you get paid. All right, Clemson will host Syracuse Saturday, March 9th at noon, as I previously had said twice already. Syracuse took the first of two meetings between these two on January 9th of earlier this year. A 61-53 win. Hughes led the Orange with 14 points that day. The all-time record is split at 4-4 currently. Since the loss to the Orange, Clemson has gone 7-7 and 5-3 at home. With Clemson still to play Notre Dame Wednesday, March 6th, before facing Syracuse. Clemson is 17-12 overall and 7-9 in ACC. They sit 2 spots below Syracuse at 8th in the ACC rankings. Their net currently is 39th, so they're ahead of Syracuse there. Heading into the Notre Dame game, Clemson is shooting 46.1% from the field, 33.3% from distance, and 73.3% from the line. Joe, kind of a mixed bag with Clemson. They've got some really good wins. They've got a couple kind of, I wouldn't say bad losses, but maybe surprising losses. And, so it's a mixed bag there, but they seem to have a decent edge at home. They play good at home. So,
yeah, they seem to have, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you look at this team, they're right now, like you said, and I know at KenPom, I think they're ranked 30 or 31 to our 35. They're higher ranked than us in the net. But when you look at the bracket matrix, most bracketology websites have them is the last 4 in the tournament right now with a 17-12 record. But when you kind of look at the team, especially like you look at the last 6 games, you see.
I'm looking at right now. What do you got?
Well, they're 2-4, right? So they won at BC or won at home against BC and at Pitt, right? But you look at it a little bit closer. They lost at Miami by 1 point. They lost at Louisville by 1 point. And they lost at home against North Carolina by 2 points. So 3 out of those 4 losses just combined 4 points. And that's all it really takes for this team to have a crazy, really different outlook and resume going forward. So, again, too, we beat them earlier this season at home. So they're going to be a hungry team. Marquise Reed.
It's their senior night, obviously.
Yeah, it's their senior night, and I know that one of their better players, Marquise Reed, when we played them, it was earlier in the season, and they were talking about him coming back from a knee injury earlier in the non-conference. So I remember seeing him hobbled and not really 100%. And, between Marquise Reed, Elijah Thomas, and Shelton Mitchell, the other guard that starts there, you got some guys that have kind of been carrying this team to a point to where they're still, they're 17-12 and they're still in the NCAA tournament and still kind of right in the mix. So they're going to be looking to take care of us, man. I think it's going to be a tough game, like you were talking about last night. And we just have to hope that this last game, like you said, didn't kind of mess up our psyche.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm really worried about is the confidence and the psyche of the team. I mean, something we didn't mention. Well, I guess I mentioned it briefly, but Frank Howard, that's his last game in the Dome. That was his last game in the Dome. It's likely maybe Tyus Battle's last game in the Dome, Pascal's last game in the Dome. That's, it's a suffering defeat. Your last game at home like that to end up that way. And it's just it's a morale killer. It's a morale killer But
Yeah.
they have a bunch of days off, and one being a travel day, I suppose. But they got a bunch of days off. They're going to get some good practice in. And as athletes at this level, the D1 college basketball level, you've got to be able to leave it behind and focus on the next task, and that is Clemson. And Clemson is a good team. They're a good team.
Well, yeah, no, and like you said, it's March, so it's time to go.
Right,
and
it's time to go.
The bottom line is that this is Clemson's last time until it's pretty much like we talk about a one and done when it gets to the conference tournaments and the other tournament. So this is their kind of last chance to kind of grab a stamp on a quality win and hope that it kind of pushes them over the edge and doesn't force them to have to win one or two games in this tournament. They obviously, like I said, have been playing a lot better since the first time we played. And again, you talked about senior night, taking a quick little stroll. 4 of their top, 6, 7 guys that play are seniors. So Marquise Reed, Elijah Thomas, and Shelton Mitchell, the 3 that I mentioned, and then David Scara, the other forward they have there. They're all seniors. So you're going to have a big night.
Yeah,
because it's going to be a big game for Clemson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Considering all the little variables between senior night, having a bunch of them, they kind of need the win to kind of keep them on the right side of the bubble or get a little bit more secure on it. And on top of the fact that they're probably going to want to show up and revenge the loss they had earlier this year. So we got a lot going against us in this game. I think the only thing really going to our advantage would be the fact that they play tomorrow at Notre Dame at 9:00. So they're not going to have, they're going to have about
less
2
turnaround.
They're going to have less of a rest.
Yeah, we do have the travel day though too. So
yeah, we have the travel day. So I mean, if who knows how much it's going to affect it having the extra 2 days, 2.5 days, because they're still going to have obviously Wednesday night till Saturday. But I think it's going to be a real good game, man. It's going to be a real good game. It's going to be tough. I bet you the line's pretty close.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll all know what Joe thinks when the line comes out. When he posts it, the game's at noon, so I expect Joe will have that posted definitely by 11:59, I think. Probably. Probably right around then.
11:30 max.
Oh, vey. My bookie thing is my bookie doesn't make us do that. We just help the sponsor out by having a little thing with my bookie pick. Joe's a DraftKings, my bookie. He's all over that stuff. So, I thought it'd be fun for him, and he enjoyed it at first. And now he's like, "Oh, my bookie! Oh, my bookie!" Every game day, I'm like, "Well, dude, get off the phone and go post my bookie." Anyway,
look, basketball's different, man. Football,
yeah, you were on the football
the lines like the week ahead.
We used to be able to talk about it on the show.
Right, yeah. The basketball is like the day before, and if you got something going on, it could slip your mind. So
yeah. So anyway,
plus I lost.
Right, that was your first loss.
It's looking good at halftime.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. But you've looked good at halftime a bunch of times lately. So
yeah.
Anyway, I want to thank my bookie. I want to thank Tick Splits. I want to thank Armchair All-Americans. I want to thank JP Mulligans. Every happy hour every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6, Trivia Tuesdays, and $1 off all of Bats products during Syracuse games. Syracuse is not in the Dome. Saturday. So go over to JP's, grab a beer, grab some wings, grab a burger, sit down, enjoy yourselves, and watch the game there. Shop and Town Barbershop, thank you. And, of course, thanks to all of you for listening. Thanks for participating in fan feedback. So we are going to take the rest of the week off, and we'll be back. I guess we'll be back Sunday as the game is Saturday. So we'll be back normal time. And that is it for Joe. I am Sean. We're out.
Hey.
Thanks for listening to the Cuse Militia Podcast, the fan's voice with Sean and Joe.